Alright, hey guys, today we are back and we are with the new US National Champion, 2 times in a row, Evan Nagao.
What's up everybody? How's it going?
So I'm super excited to be here with him. He's got some amazing tricks and we're just gonna generally talk about Yo-Yo's life and everything like that.
Just riff.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so let's jump right into it. I guess my first question is so this is the exact day that he won this contest. So what were you feeling on the stage during that entire performance? Since I know 3 minutes is a long time to be on stage, what were you feeling throughout that?
Dude, honestly, so after the freestyle, I honestly kind of forgot the whole freestyle.
Yeah.
like just so much adrenaline.
Yeah.
And maybe you've experienced this sort of you go into sort of a flow state and then your body's just kind of moving on its own and just and then later actually after the freestyle I was talking to Ben and I was like, yo Ben, there was a point where I think I said let's go or I screamed. I don't know if I did that. Did I do that? He was like, yeah, you did that. It was at this point. And I was like, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I totally get that. So when I'm performing on stage, I hardly remember much of it because the adrenaline and nerves are so high that it's just it's hard to remember anything that goes on. You kind of go into this autopilot, you know, where your yo-yoing just kind of takes over and you're just going with it. So that's awesome.
There's this book that I'm reading actually that talks about that. It's this flow state, and it's just this weird kind of just a different way to see the world and perceive the world, and there's this timelessness to it. It was weird.
That's awesome, man. So this is your second time winning nationals. What was it like? How do these compare? This nationals versus last year?
So last year's nationals was really emotional for me in that it was the first time I got it and I worked so hard for that one. So I actually at the end of it I cried tears of joy. I was so emotional. This year was more my goal this year for the freestyle itself was to try to make sure that the audience was enjoying themselves and put on a good freestyle. So actually by the end of my freestyle, everybody was excited and happy. That was the reward in itself. So by the time I got on stage for awards, I wasn't really I didn't care that much. I was kind of but winning was really a really rewarding feeling. I got what I deserved for my performance and stuff.
So would you say you worked harder for last year's, practiced more for last year's than this year's, or is it about the same or different?
So this year's nationals I worked because since last year Worlds was before nationals. I started my routine practicing for Worlds, and then coming up to nationals I already had all that practice in. But this year, since nationals is before Worlds, I'm practicing for Worlds, and nationals is kind of in between. So I didn't have enough as much time as I did last year. I probably practiced about 6 months, maybe 5 months in advance this year. Last year it was starting 6 months before Worlds. So I had a few more months of practice last year, but hopefully what happens is that this practice time will kind of spill over to Worlds, and it'll allow me to hit a really clean World routine as well.
Yeah. And what do you prefer? Because I know this year's a little different. Nationals is before Worlds. Last year Worlds was before Nationals. What do you prefer?
That's a tough question. I mean, I guess hopefully we'll see what happens, but hopefully this preparation for nationals will help me to compete better at Worlds, right? Because I have already some stage time and everything. So if that's the case, then that'll be good. But you never know. I could just completely bomb at Worlds. So in that case, if I completely bomb, then I'll probably say that it was better the other way around. So it's kind of dependent on the result.
And are you thinking of doing the same freestyle for Worlds Finals?
Probably. So we'll see. I have another song prepared, but this freestyle was so epic. Yeah. I feel the Chinese audience really would love to see it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And they're gonna be huge. I heard that there's 800 registered competitors.
Really?
Yeah. Already. Wow. I don't know if that's true. That's just a rumor I heard, but
wow.
If that's true, 800 registered competitors means there's gonna be a ton of people at that contest.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's
it'd be
awesome,
sick to rock out to Freebird at that.
Yeah, and so moving on with Freebird, how did you get introduced to that song? Because I know you've used it 2 years in a row and great freestyles to both of them. What's your thoughts with that song?
So initially, I think the first time I heard this song was on Guitar Hero 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is funny. Like, I don't know, I was pretty okay at Guitar Hero. Like, I would play it sometimes. But my mom obviously knew that song. My dad knew that song. So, like, they're like, oh, yeah, that's Freebird. You don't know Freebird, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, so they're like, yeah, like, check this out. So, like, they would play it in the car and stuff. And, like, we'd rock out to
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great yo-yo song because, like, it's really, like, it, like, segues really nicely into, you know, getting good music use and stuff because there's so many, like, changes in tempo and such, and which you can translate to your playing. So I think that's really awesome. So, like, what, besides Freebird, like, for other performances, how do you find a song, like, the song for your freestyle? Like, what helps you decide?
Okay, so there's a bunch of things that I do. One really key thing that I do is I'll tell a bunch of friends like what I'm looking for in a song. And like so like maybe randomly some friend will say like, hey, remember you told me like you're looking for a song? I have a song. And that's actually how I found the song for my 2016 PNWR finals. My friend in Mexico was like, hey, I found the song. Like,
Really?
really good. Yeah. So I just tell all my friends, like, I'm looking for this type of song, and like tons of songs will come to me, and then like some of them, like, I'll cherry pick from those.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, so right now there's certain tricks that are really meta. So speed combo is super meta. So recently I've been looking for songs that have elements that are just non-stop, just beast mode, like riffing. Like, so that would be like, Look At Me Now has like the Busta Rhymes part where it's like,
Then I gotta go and then I gotta get it.
and then Freebird has that riff where it's just so that's what I'm looking for right now, and then from there I look for songs that have that part, and then I try to like see if the rest of the song fits with like what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, because I know you used like Eye of the Tiger sometimes, and so do you prefer like those classic songs rather than like the super like electronic and robotic kind of songs that a lot of players use?
I think like if you have a good song, it's a good song.
Yeah.
You know, so like it can come from different eras, and like it's not necessarily true that like older songs are better, but I think not a lot of people use songs like Freebird as much, or like even like rap music generally. So like I try to make it a little different so that the judges are more attentive of what I'm doing.
Yeah. And another thing that I think about that's really cool with using these like more classical or classic songs is like a lot of these judges like grew up in that kind of time period, and like they like those kind of songs.
That's a good point. You know, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
that's a really good point actually.
And like with the whole song choosing thing, I did a similar thing for this freestyle. So I posted like on my Instagram story, and like people, you know,
for your prelim?
For my prelim, like to slide up and like give me a song that is like, I told them I wanted like a fast-paced thing, and so that's how I got that song Boundless, which Patrick Canny used for his prelim as well. Is like, I got like, you know, a bunch of DMs and stuff, and I just looked through every single one of them for like the one, and I really liked that one. So that's a really cool process because like there's so many songs out there that are like good.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard to find them a lot, so asking for people for help is like a really good way, I think.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, so bringing this back a couple years, you used to use the Monster wide, right?
Yeah, it was called the Monster. Yeah.
Monster. How does that like translate into the Edge? Like I know that one's way wider, but like how did that help you pick like the Edge, like the shape of it and everything?
Okay, so like the influence from the Monster was essentially the width. So the Edge, I wanted to make it a wider yo-yo, but also there were a lot of people that didn't like to like use the Monster because it was such an extreme shape. So I just tried to make a wider yo-yo that'll give you kind of the cutting edge in competition, but also make it something like not scary for a new person to kind of, or like not even a new player, but like a player that is interested in maybe getting a Yo-Yo Factory yo-yo to pick up. So there was definitely influence in like making it a little wider, but I also wanted to keep it a little like not too crazy wide.
Yeah.
You know, and also if it's a little narrower, it helps for like intricate tech tricks and stuff.
Yeah. So we're just similar because right now I'm using the Atlas. I
was wondering that.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you because I saw your video like previously that you said you were using the Atlas.
And I might continue using it. I'm not sure. I might want to switch it up. But like I totally know what you mean. Like everyone is like, oh, you use the atlas, like, that's way too wide. Like how do you land like a double or nothing or whatever without it going on two? But it's interesting. Like some of those wider yo-yos, like you can still do like great tricks with them. Maybe not the most intricate stuff, but I think that's so interesting. What did you see in the like monster that led you like to pick that one up and use it for a while?
Honestly, it was just wide, and like, so my style is very banger-esque, so like with those tricks I don't do as much like technical stuff, so just trying to like get as much width there to land those bangers is like super important. But as I progressed through yo-yoing, I realized that, you know, like for example, Monster didn't have a really great weight distribution in terms of rim weight. It was a little wobbly off the throw, so like certain precision elements weren't quite there for me. So that kind of was important too.
I get that. Do you want to talk about this yo you got right here?
Yeah, so this is kind of a secret yo-yo, but so this is the Edge 2 prototype that we've been working on for quite a while now. So yeah, it's just an updated version of Edge. I didn't use it to compete today. This is the raw version, and I prefer the yo-yo to have a little bit of like a finish on it, because the rawness kind of makes it sticky.
Yeah.
Binds are different, everything's different. But I definitely will be competing with this one at Worlds.
Wow.
So, but you guys are getting the insider scoop because nobody knows about this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to that. Do you know how much it's gonna cost?
This one is going to be a higher end yo-yo. I'm not exactly sure, but probably in the $150 range.
Wow. Okay.
There's a lot of steel on the rims, and also there's an NSK bearing. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I'm not familiar, but I'm sure some of these people are.
Yeah, but it's a very high-end bearing, and actually Ben McPhee decided to put in a titanium axle just to give it that extra. Yeah, because sometimes the axle will bend depending on how you play with it, so it'll just give it that extra little strength in the center.
Wow.
To be a little bit more durable.
That is definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So another question about like yo-yos in general. Besides the Edge and like Wedge and like your yo-yos with Yo-Yo Factory, what was your other favorite from Yo-Yo Factory?
The one that I just tried today, this is the first time I tried it, but it was really good, is the Marco. Have you tried it?
I've tried it a little bit, yeah.
That one's pretty fun. And let me think, what else? The shutter is really good, actually.
Yeah.
I really like the shutter. And then the Atlas too. That was actually originally sort of gonna be my signature before Edge, but then I kind of was like, nah, I want to do like a little like narrower and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it so the new one is it going to be called the Edge 2 or is it gonna have a new name?
I think it's gonna be Edge 2.0, but we're still like kind of considering maybe doing something else. But we'll see.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely something to look forward to. Are there any other like yo-yos in the making, like with the Wedge or anything like that?
Yeah, so I got a bunch of yo-yos that I brought here. Let's see what I have. So this is the monometal Edge.
Oh wow.
So this will be coming out sometime. I don't know. It's
Very
pretty
cool.
cool. You can check that out. And then Wedge is going to be coming in a few other colors.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah, here's one of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah,
so I've never actually tried the Wedge, but what's the difference? Is this like just a bit more chunky of a design?
Yeah, it's just like we tried to make it a little bit bigger on the rims because you know it's plastic, so it's a little lighter, it's less dense.
I see. And you got this definite finger spin area right there.
Yeah.
Is the Edge 2.0 going to have a finger spin area, or is it going to be like that?
It's going to be like that. It's got a little a nipple there.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because in competition, you're not trying to do the longest finger spin.
Yeah.
It's actually, I guess it's like less efficient to try to get it towards the center. It's actually better to ride sort of on the edge. Lol. No pun intended. It's actually better to ride kind of on the edge because that gives you more control of the actual finger spin itself.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like a lot of my friends were talking about like, oh, you know, this and this company, they don't have any like finger spin yo-yos, like ones that do perfect finger spins. But like I think it's actually interesting. Like a lot of people aren't in competition. Well, first of all, there's not very many finger spins in competition. Like they were really popular at one point, and then they died down just a little bit. Like they're still like relevant and such. But people aren't looking for like the super long ones for finger spin combos. It's more just like if they're gonna maybe like hit like a tornado bind or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I totally get that. I think that's a good move. So obviously besides yourself, who would you say is like your favorite player in the yo-yo community right now?
Favorite player in the yo-yo community right now? Dude, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
It could be
like US, like Japan, or like anything, or
it could be like you can narrow it down to like US, Japan, or like maybe like a player from your own company or such, like anything you want.
Okay, well, like right now, I really like Kieran Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Just like he has really cool tech and stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick Canny from US.
Oh yeah.
I mean, pretty much anybody that placed like top 5, like at nationals. Of course, Chandler, Becco.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say Nate?
No, you haven't said it.
Nate, Gentry, like everybody. But right now, I think the real innovator. I think the person who hasn't been getting enough recognition for what he does is Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd agree.
That's my opinion on that. But in terms of like worldwide, like international, dang, there's so many.
Yeah.
What's this guy? I forget the guy's name from Japan, but he does a bunch of cool arm stuff. It'll come to me at some point.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a bunch of them.
And then, so those may be like your favorites, but who would you say like inspires you the most?
Who inspires me the most?
Yeah.
Dude, everybody inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really like to kind of take elements that already exist and try to like improve upon them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my forte. I'd say, so I really want to give credit to Daniel Kim because I feel like I haven't been giving him enough credit for some of my tricks, but he inspired a lot of the tricks that I do.
Very cool.
But like in terms of long term, like Takahiro Iizuka was a guy like really, really inspirational back in like 2009, 2010. So a lot of my tricks are inspired by that.
That's very cool. And then, so like talking about the past a little bit more, how long have you been yoing for? Like how many years?
21 years now.
Really? So what age did you start at?
At 1 year old.
Wow, that is some like serious commitment.
Yeah.
But wow. So like, how did you start? Like, what was your little starting story?
So my dad was a marketer for yo-yos. I'm not sure if you know this, but like pretty much everybody that yo-yos nowadays was influenced by his initial marketing.
Really?
Yeah, because he ran the Bondi launch in 1996 to 99, and from that I think he sold about 30 million yo-yos.
Really?
Worldwide, yeah. He made $1 per yo-yo, so you can kind of like add up the numbers in that. But so he was a marketer, and there was yo-yo kids at my house all the time. And then so eventually, like I just saw these yo-yo kids, and I just thought like, oh, okay, so everybody just yo-yos. That's just like part of, you know, you walk and then you yo-yo. Like,
yeah.
That's part of your thing. So I just got into it at that age. I eventually like quit at like 6 years old or so. I think I got bored, and I was also going to like kindergarten, first school, people to talk to. But then I got back into it because I went to Redondo Beach one time to visit some old friends from back in the day during like the 90s during the yo-yo launch, and I played with a Yo-Yo Factory California. This was in 2009.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of like an 888.
Okay.
But like a little bigger, and like I just played with it, and the guy at the shop, he taught me how to bind, and I was like, man, this is like cool. Like this yo-yo is like, I was doing like brain twister stuff, like stuff that I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this thing like spins forever. It's like, what the heck is going on? So it kind of hooked me. I watched Andre's tutorials.
Oh yeah.
Andre Bolay's tutorials. And just like that's where it kind of all began. And then I tried to enter competition in 2009, but I was so bad.
Really?
Like yeah, if you guys go back to my YouTube channel, like watch like my old YouTube videos out in like 2009, I was so bad.
Really?
Yeah, but then so like I kind of tried to compete, and then I realized I couldn't, so I quit again in like 2010. And then I came back in 2014. I did like pretty well at nationals, and that's where it kind of like kicked off.
Yeah, I remember seeing like using the monster right around that time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. That's like a really cool like story in general. Like that is a whole lot of time for yo-yoing. Do you remember your first ever combo?
My first ever combo?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember it.
Really?
I was too young. Like I was a baby.
Yeah. That's funny because I was talking to some of my friends about it, and some of us do remember our first ever combo and some of us don't, but it's kind of cool to like look back and see how like we've improved. I remember my very first combo was like a speed combo. I think like at least half of it was from the internet, like completely stolen tricks and stuff, and they like included like a brother slack or whatever. But that's super cool. Who would you say like for myself? I'd say like my like main mentor when I was like getting better and better at yo-yoing was like Ben Condi, because I would go to yo-yo club with him in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And so we would like hang out, do tricks and stuff like that. Did you have like anyone like that was kind of like a mentor to you?
Mentors. Let me think. Not really. Like, I think. Well, nobody in particular, but there was a bunch of people that I got advice from. Like, I wouldn't say there was like one Mr. Miyagi kind of deal.
Yeah.
You know? The yo-yoers are in the house.
Hey!
What's up?
What's good?
What's good? Hey,
Who's
Jesse,
up?
how's
Oh
it?
my god.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, get over here, dude.
So we're in Chicago.
Guys, we're in the Palmer house.
We at the Palmer house.
Okay, let me join this interview real quick.
Alright.
Okay, we're gonna do some hot takes. So like, to start out, Evan should have gotten 8th place. Freebird
Evan
overused
should not have won.
trash song. How can you, dude? It wasn't even a real green triangle. I'm gonna let you in on that
Dude,
secret.
freaking.
It was a red triangle. It was a purple triangle.
Purple. It was
I don't know, dude. I think it was chartreuse, actually.
It was chartreuse.
Yeah.
Actually, sunset fade.
No, what's the yes, the sunset fade. It's a
So I'm gonna let you guys in a secret. Evan runs daily spin times.
it's Evan.
Evan
Seven.
owns that stuff too.
Oh man.
Dude, Evan owns the entire whole yo-yo community.
You caught me, dude.
And also THP.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. Why are you exposing me like this? Doesn't feel good, man.
I'm sorry. I'll delete the footage. Don't worry.
Okay.
He's
And
got
this-
some secret yo-yo right here. Have you seen this?
This is cool.
It's
New-
really
it's the
good.
new
I
SF.
actually did on my first throw with this because Ben had it on my card
This
trick.
is actually
I did a 45-second combo.
This is one of the
Yeah.
coolest
Without
videos
stopping.
I've seen in a
It's like really sick.
This is dope.
I'd like to say I'm a big fan. I have a
Get out of here.
I have a polycarbonate wedge and a Delrin wedge, but no edge. Okay, thank you. Bless up. I love your videos. Keep up the good work.
What is your channel?
YoYoJoe.
Oh, okay.
YoYoJoe.
Cool.
Plus
Yeah, have you
Space
seen it?
One.
No, I
Space
didn't.
One.
Dude, his videos are dope, man.
Dude, I saw your NER, I saw your Illinois States.
MER. I wasn't at
Yeah.
MER, but
Well,
like.
then I saw they're all the same venue. Chill. It's great. You're great. I like it.
Thanks, man. That's so funny.
And don't forget, we have the Palmer house.
Throw Duncan.
Oh man, clashing brands right here. That's so funny, man. That's so cool.
Dude, yours are the best.
Yeah, honestly, man.
Oh,
That was Remy, Owen, and what was the other guy's name?
Jesse.
Jesse. That's awesome. Okay, what were we talking about? Mentors or something?
Oh yeah, mentors. So yeah, that was yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah. So in terms of mentors, just I haven't been particularly mentored by anybody, but there's a bunch of people that have given me little pieces of advice here and there, and that's what I like to do. I feel like not everybody has everything perfectly down.
Mhm.
You know, there's some people that are better at speed combos. There's some people,
Yeah.
even in life, there's some people that are wealthy. There's some people that have good relationships. Like you want to try to pick a little of the good from each person.
Yeah, I totally get that. So another question, and a lot of people ask me this, is like, what's the process of creating a new trick?
The process
Like
of
what
creating a
goes
new
down
trick.
when you're like, all right, new trick time, we gotta wow the crowd. What goes down in your mind?
Most of the time, new tricks occur when I'm really tired,
Mm-hmm.
or even like kind of like when I just wake up,
Mhm.
and like you kind of have that just you're not really like consciously there, so
Mhm.
you're throwing and you're like just messing around and messing up, and like sometimes when you mess up, the mess up will be
Yeah.
like something cool, So that's all it is, and all it is really I've been throwing for hours a day, like every day, and eventually something pops up.
Yeah.
You know.
That's some good advice, because like I'm sure you do a little bit of this, but like getting inspiration from other players as well as learning new tricks. But that's really interesting. Like that messing up sometimes, like doing your own tricks and messing up, can lead to a whole new like possibility. And I think that's really interesting because like a lot of players, they like to keep their core tricks the same way that they are,
Mhm.
and they're not willing to like try new things with it.
Yeah.
But I think that's like a really good mindset because you can create like even bigger and better things with that.
Oh yeah, no, like so sometimes people are like, man, I can't learn your tutorial. Like every time I go into this mount, it ends up here, and
Mhm.
but I'm like, dude, that's good. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes like that's just how it's meant to be, and like
Yeah.
you might find a different trick out of like the tutorial that you're having a hard time with.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you've done that. I saw like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of your videos where like you're messing up like or you're like doing a different trick, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still cool, So
Yeah, I think that's a super good point. Another main question I get is like how to like the best advice for competing at contests, whether it comes
Mhm.
to like advice for like your mindset, how you should practice. Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, how you at least prepare for contests?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing is if you're trying to win the contest,
Mhm.
preparing that freestyle that you're gonna do on stage about 3 months ahead of time,
Mhm.
at least. But then the other thing is, so since you did all this preparation 3 months ahead of time, you shouldn't have to practice the day of because that the day of is kind of like you have to kind of rest your body
Mhm.
up until what I do is I practice like 30 minutes before the freestyle. I'll do
Mhm.
some practicing, but like I try to rest my body the day
Mhm.
of because you kind of want to just have the kind of energy and everything like
Yeah.
put together and kind of rest your body a little bit before you go on.
Yeah. One piece of advice I have is like, I talk to a lot of people about this, but like, I found that the times I mess up, at least when practicing or performing, is when like I'm actually thinking about the trick I'm doing. Like I'm like, oh, I'm onto this string and that stuff. What I like to think of is like when I'm practicing, I like to. That's like you're like working on muscle memory right there. You're trying to get it like kind of ingrained in your body. And then what I like to do is like kind of go on like autopilot when I'm actually on the stage and just like kind of let my body do the things. Because I feel like the more you think about yourself actually doing the tricks, the like more like hung up that you're gonna get in your head, and that's gonna like have you like mess up and such.
Right,
So I feel
for
like
sure. Like for me, like same exact thing, but like what I focus on is smiling.
Mhm.
I just only focus on smiling.
Yeah.
And like making sure the audience is having a good time.
Mhm.
And like with that, like my body does the rest.
Mhm.
It's the same thing, but different like means maybe it's the same.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. Like a lot of people I see on stage, like they're just doing the yo-yo tricks. Like they stay in one spot, they don't move around, they look expressionless. But like you're the complete opposite. Like you're moving around, you're having a good time, and you're like engaging with the audience, which makes like the freestyle like 10 times more fun. Like eventually, like freestyles can get boring if like the person isn't moving around at all. They're not just like not doing anything.
Yeah.
But when you're totally moving around the stage, you're having a good time. Everyone else is gonna have a good time too. So I think that's a really important thing.
Mhm. Yo. Oh, dude, this is what's
I
up?
bought it
This is-
from Rob Kit.
Really?
Yeah,
Dude,
he has
this
like a
is-
bunch of them.
What
This
is
is
this?
the yo-yo, the Super Yo Renegade, man. This is the yo-yo that I used on Jay Leno when I was
Really?
4 years old. Not this exact yo-yo, but
Oh
the
man.
same. Oh, it's not responsive. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's playing games, bro.
Oh
This is a
man.
classic.
Dude, look what else I got. I got this one too.
What is this?
Element X.
Oh, I don't know what this. See,
It
I was
goes on.
so like I quit like past the 90s, so anything in the mid era I have no idea about. But I definitely know about this
Dude,
thing.
yeah, it's sick. He has like a bunch of colors. And it has like the like when it does like the rainbow thing when it spins. Like on the engraving.
Let's do this. Oh wait, let's try it. Give it a light. There, let's see it. Yeah, dude, this is so sick. This is a blast from the past, man.
Alright, dude. Congrats on your win.
Thank you, man.
That's so sweet. Is that like one of the classics?
Oh, dude, total classic. I was sponsored by that company
Really?
when I was like 6 years old.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So that's actually a great segue. Like, I want to talk about like sponsorships. So, have you obviously been sponsored by that company when you're really young? Are there any other companies you were sponsored by before Yo Factory?
Kind of, sort of, YoMega.
Oh, really?
Because my dad was the marketer for YoMega, and then Super Yo when I went on the Jay Leno show, and then Yo Factory. So
Very
just those
cool.
three.
And like, is Yo Factory your kind of dream team? Like, you've always wanted to be on that team?
We've always been friends, like Ben and I and stuff. So there's always been just like kind of just the rapport there,
Mhm.
you know, just hanging out like at every contest and stuff. And
Yeah.
then eventually one day he's like, all right, time to get on the team. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, sure, why not?
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of like players like look up to Yo Factory. I think it's like one of the like most wanted to be sponsored on companies. So that's really cool that you've been sponsored by them. All right. So another question I have is like, so you grew up in Hawaii, and I just went to Oahu, in like Honolulu area like a couple weeks ago. So what was it like growing up in Hawaii? Because I find that hard. Like it's kind of hard for me to imagine like what that would be like, since it's such like a very unique and cool place.
Dude, it's just paradise, man. Just like, I don't know, I wake up every day and I'm like, dude, I can't believe I live here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so nice. There's beaches. Like, I used to go to the beach every day. Now I travel a lot more, but like, it's just such a nice place. I'm, you know, super grateful to live there.
Yeah.
And then like also just like when I travel, and then I kind of see how like the environment is when I travel. Like, it's not as nice. So
Yeah.
I come back and I appreciate it more.
Yeah, here in Chicago, the humidity is so high and heat and everything, but yeah, Hawaii is like such a special place. Like the weather's always great. Everyone's like very happy. There's like a really like positive vibe.
They're very
everywhere.
relaxed.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So I think that's so cool. Like I don't know that many people that like grew up or like live in Hawaii. So I think that's super cool. I know you said like earlier that you live part-time in California or LA area. So how does that compare to like Hawaii? I mean, obviously you probably prefer Hawaii more.
I definitely prefer Hawaii, like without question. However, California, LA area is well connected. So you have like the city, there's a bunch of people, you know, if you need something, there's always somebody that you can connect with to get you that thing. So that's the perk there, but I mean, it doesn't compare in terms of, like, just the weather and just Hawaii people are very chill and just very nice. So.
Yeah, and like the yoga community is huge in California. So I think that's another like. Do you ever meet up with people in California?
Hardly. I usually just go to contests. Sometimes I'll meet up with people, but usually for practice sessions, if anything. Spend a lot of time with like Alex, Tori, Gentry. Like when we meet up, we do like yo-yo freestyle. That's another thing. If you're building yo-yo freestyle, try to get somebody who knows how to build a yo-yo freestyle. Because that person, like the knee slide today, that was all Gentry's idea.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. So I think that's really cool. And so Alex Tori, I want to talk a little bit about him. Like, how long have you known him for?
I knew him since, oh man, how long? Dude, I knew that guy since 2010.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we went to Worlds together, and we were just kids, like we were just like kids who didn't like you know, just kids at the contest, like idolizing everybody, like asking for signatures.
Yeah.
and so like later, wait, was that 2010? Yeah, 2010. And then later, I saw that he was the national champion, and that inspired me because that was like 2013 or something.
Yeah.
I was like, no way, Alex is national champion, like. Dang, like he was like we were just hanging out and we were just like asking like Jensen Kimmett for pictures and stuff like holy crap. So that kind of inspired me to get back into it as well.
That's so cool. The reason I'm bringing him up is like this contest especially, like he really sticks out to me as like being such a talented player. Like how many times is like 6-time national champion?
Yeah.
Like that is like so much commitment. So Alex, if you're watching this, I think you're a really great
Alex
player.
is beast mode.
Yeah, that is so.
He's also
insane.
he was at MIT. I think he still is. And he's like doing like physics or I don't know, like some astro engineering. I don't know what it is, but like he's doing some crazy stuff.
That's super impressive.
So like everything all together, and he's doing yo-yo. It's just amazing.
So talking about like players you idolize, like back when you were like young and like not as experienced as you are now, who was like a person you looked up to?
Definitely Yuki Spencer, Zach Gormley. Zach mainly because we were a similar age, and like kind of like I was like, dang, this kid's so good, and he's like so young.
Yeah.
And then of course Jensen. Like back in 2010, Jensen was like on such a high pedestal.
Yeah.
Like he was like the guy I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And still kind of like there is that subconscious aspiration to be like that, you know?
Yeah, because so you were at Worlds 2010. Yeah, I still remember that like freestyle, his world winning 2010. Like that was insane. Like it's like so cool. But the judging system was different back then, correct?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it always changes. Every year it changes,
Mhm.
you know. Like, even if it doesn't change directly on the scoring sheet,
Mhm.
the judges have different ways of interpreting the judging sheet, which I think, so like, this might go into another segue, but I feel like judging should be a little bit more transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever judges talk about, you know, at judging meetings or whatever, should be a little bit more accessible, maybe, to players.
Yeah. Have you ever judged a contest?
I judged today.
Oh, really?
I was judging 2A and 3A.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So like, what do you? I mean, I don't really know much about what the judging scoring is like for that. But like, what generally do you guys look out for in 2A and 3A?
2A is like anytime that somebody does a variation on a trick. So like, for example, if somebody does 3 loops,
Mhm.
like this, inside loops, you're gonna score that 1.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's a repeated element. So you're looking for, they do a loop, they do an outside loop, they do a cross-handed loop, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
For 3A, I was judging evals, so I'm
Mhm.
not really too familiar with that, the 3A judging.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool though. Do you like enjoy judging? Is that something that's like fun for you?
I think it's a good way to give back, you know.
Mhm.
The community has been like very generous to me and just like is very supportive. So like I definitely need to do my part in like supporting it so that it can keep going on.
Yeah. So how do you like get chosen for that?
So I think it's really dependent on like how much well, so first of all, you want to start judging at like smaller contests like regionals. I judged at Mexican nationals. So from that, you kind of get this reputation as a judge.
Mhm.
And sometimes judges will do bad at regionals and stuff, and then they'll have a bad reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're not really like, usually like people, like the people running the contest will be weary of who's the people that are judging poorly.
Yeah.
So you just try to like build up that reputation, and as you start to judge a little bit more, then like now you can start to judge the bigger contests.
Mm-hmm. I see. That's really cool. Like I've never been experienced in like the judging world, but I think that's like such an interesting job and like task you have.
Dude, it's the craziest thing because you only get criticism. You
Mhm,
never
yeah.
ever get props. Like, oh, good job clicking this guy like
Yeah.
properly. You never get that. You only
Yeah.
get criticism, and you don't get paid. It's the hardest job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
That is tough.
and those are the guys that keep the community running.
True.
You know,
That is
so
that is very
Shout out
important.
to the judges, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they deserve way more credit than they get.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. Like they're like the deciding factor. They choose
Mhm.
everything, but that's
Without
very-
them, there wouldn't be contests.
Yeah. One thing that a lot of people talk about is like they get very technical with when it comes to like bearings and how sensitive your response pads are. Do you mess with that at all?
Yeah, definitely. So like, so for response pads, I'm not sure this one. This one's a factory prototype, so it doesn't have the pads that I use.
Mhm.
But I use brown pads. YoYo factory brown pads
Mhm.
are the best pads.
All right, so we're wrapping up to the very end of our interview. My last question is for a lot of my viewers who are younger and just starting like getting out and yoing. This guy, he's doing really well in the yo community and he knows a lot. So what is your advice for like those that are just starting out and wanna like improve and do well in the community?
Okay, I think first of all, my opinion is that the goal of doing well, I don't think is a very like healthy, like kind of goal to have. But I mean, it can be healthy. Like, of course, you want to like get good and stuff,
Mhm.
but especially when you know you're comparing yourself to like players that you know have years and years of experience. I wouldn't take it like that. I would just take it one day at a time.
Mhm.
You know, even right now, I'm an amateur right now in music. I'm learning
Mhm.
a lot of music stuff, and it's kind of like,
So fast.
sup, C-Rod?
They don't.
You wanna get in here?
I love these guys.
Sweet. Where is that? Oh yeah, so like yeah, just you know, instead of trying to focus on like getting better all the time,
Mhm.
I would say just like enjoy it. You
Mhm.
know, that's the main thing. That's the thing that I did. Like I never, when I was like starting off, was saying like, man, I want to be like Jensen or whatever, and like or Yuki, and like, man, I just like gotta strive for that. It was always just kind of like, man,
Mhm.
this is so fun.
Yeah.
Like, man, look at this element that I created. It was always just fun for me, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, getting better wasn't a problem. It was just, like, natural because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it. It's my main advice.
I think that's a really good thing because I remember when I started up too. I started competing. I was like super serious and I was getting stressed out, and like at one point it wasn't becoming fun anymore. But then I just like took a step back and been like, you know what, like becoming the best, like the very best, and doing all that, like may not be, it can be a goal, but like it shouldn't be your total focus. Like your main focus should be just having fun, because that's, young is a toy and it's meant to have fun. So
well, yeah, I think if you're having, like, it's like a catch-22, because if you're focused on becoming the best, you're not going to become the best. If you focus on having fun, like that's what I do, like all of a sudden, like one day you'll wake up and you'll be like, dang, I have all the skills that I need to like put together this awesome freestyle. So in like, it's counterintuitive, but actually enjoying the sport and enjoying the hobby, like actually is the way that you can become the best, you know? So it's like this weird kind of thing.
That's really cool. All right, so I think that's about it. Thank you, Evan, for joining us, and congrats on 2 years.
Yeah.
National winner.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll see you later. I wanted to redo that. Went for the handshake. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Adios.